Hello and welcome to the news updates on AFRICUNIA television, reaching you from our studio in the nation's commercial capital, Lagos, Nigeria. I am Deborah Ezeh. We begin from Nigeria, where President Muhammad Buhari has ruled out the possibility of hidden calls by the International Monetary Fund, World Bank, and other leading economists to remove fuel subsidy. The president said this in an interview he granted Bloomberg, with the transcript made available to newsmen by his media office in Abuja yesterday. With fresh fuel scarcity biting across the country, he said though his administration planned to remove fuel subsidy last year, further consultation with stakeholders as well as events which unfolded this year made the move increasingly untenable. Defending his government's retention of fuel subsidy against the advice of experts, President Buhari said, "Most Western countries are today implementing fuel subsidies. Why would we remove ours now?" On the soaring national debt, he said the borrowed funds are used for Nigeria's long-standing infrastructure deficits by constructing a foundation for sustainable growth. This, he said, will spread economic opportunities across the country and reduce the rising insecurity. He dismissed a narrow focus on debt, saying that they would be missing the point. The country's national debt stock rose to 41.6 trillion naira at the end of last quarter. Now moving on, despite the position of some oil marketers that the current pump price for petrol in the country was unsustainable following long queues that have surfaced in some cities across the country, the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority yesterday maintained that the pump price for premium motor spirits remains at 165 naira per litre. This was just as the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation (NNPC) yesterday assured Nigerians that it has over 2 billion litres of PMS that would last for the next 34 days in the country, adding that there was enough stock to meet the nation's demand. However, oil marketers under the aegis of Deborah and Petroleum Products Marketers Association of Nigeria have empathized with their customers and the members of the public on the current distribution of hiccups witnessed in the supply of petrol from the various petrol stations, dispensing at 165 naira per litre, saying the price was unsustainable. The IPMAN chairman said based on current economic realities, the sustainable pump price for petrol in the country should be at 180 naira per litre. Now still in Nigeria, Nigerian troops have found two former schoolgirls who were abducted by Boko Haram jihadists 8 years ago. The military said Tuesday, freeing some of the last victims of the 2014 Chibok abduction. Major General Christopher Musa, the military commander of troops in the region, told reporters the girls were found on June 12th and 14 in two different locations by the troops. In the recent releases, one of the women, Awa Joseph, was found along with other civilians on June 12 around Bama after troops dislodged a Boko Haram camp, while the other, Mary Dauda, was found later outside Goshe village in Gwoza district, near the border with Cameroon. On June 15th, the military said on Twitter that they had found one of the Chibok girls named Mary Ngoshe. She turned out to be Mary Dauda. And now away from Nigeria, a group of Malians demonstrated in the central city of Bankas on Tuesday, June 21st, to demand state protection after more than 130 civilians were killed by jihadists in neighboring villages. Now Mali suffered one of its worst civilian killings over the weekend, the latest in an ongoing series across the Sahel. According to the government, 132 civilians were killed by men from the Katiba Masina, the group of Fulani preacher Amadou Kaufo, and two surrounding localities, a few dozen kilometers from Bankas. The head of the junta, Colonel Assimi Goita, declared 3 days of mourning. The political class in Bamako unanimously expressed its compassion while rallying once again around the armed forces. However, the Cadre de Exchange, a grouping of a dozen parties, a rare critical voice, asked Colonel Goita to go to the scene and appeal to the responsibility of the authorities to take the necessary measures so that such tragedies do not happen again. Local officials reporting the event said dozens of jihadists arrived on motorbikes, rounded up and massacred men, destroyed shops by fire, and looted villages and stole cattle. Meanwhile, the president of Burkina Faso's transitional government, Lieutenant Colonel Paul Henri Santiago de Miba, has decided to create 2 zones of military interest where all human presence is forbidden in the north of the country in order to combat deadly jihadist violence. On Monday, the President convened the High Council of National Defense around the security situation still worrying in the country. Despite the efforts made by the defense and security forces in the fight against terrorism, the areas concerned are parts of the Somme province north bordering Mali and the protected reserves between Pama and the W Park in the east of the country are reputed to be havens for jihadists. In these areas, any activities or human presence will be prohibited at the risk of exposing oneself to the military operation that will be conducted there shortly. Lieutenant Colonel Bamohuni also warned that any member of the armed forces who abandons his position or his equipment will be subject to disciplinary and criminal proceedings. Now, away from the African scene, up next are major headlines making the rounds on the foreign scene. Stay with me. Now, welcome back. We now head to the world of sports, where Liverpool fans have called on French Interior Minister Gerald Darmanin to resign after accusing him of lying over the chaos which marked the Champions League final at the Stade de France. Chairman of the Liverpool Disabled Supporters Association, Ted Morris, painted a harrowing picture of events outside the Paris Stadium in the hours before the club's defeat by Real Madrid as he gave evidence to the French Senate. Morris took particular aim at Darmanin, who initially laid the blame for the frightening scene at the feet of supporters trying to enter the stadium with fake tickets. Morris was among Liverpool supporters who were tear-gassed, one a wheelchair user who was lifted over log gates by fellow fans as she tried to escape the melee, and another an 8-year-old boy with autism who became separated from his father, with whom he was later attacked after they had been reunited. According to Morris, it was only due to restraint and action showed by Liverpool fans that a major disaster and probably a fatality was averted. And finally, Bayern Munich striker Robert Lewandowski refuses to change his stand on joining Barcelona. Bayern sporting director Hasan Salihamidzic has shown that he is still determined to keep the Lewandowski at the club this summer as he went to meet the Polish forward face-to-face. However, it was a meeting that did not have the desired effect, as the ex-Dortmund player is still keen to leave and join Barcelona. Lewandowski has already stated on more than one occasion that he is ready to put an end to his time at Bayern, and according to Bild, he has again urged the German club to facilitate an exit. And that concludes the news updates on AFRICUNIA television. Do ensure to follow all our social media platforms on Jointum, Pangram, Instagram, Facebook, and on Twitter in that respective order. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and also link us up on www.africunia.tv. Once again, I am Deborah Ezeh. Bye for now.